Let's now shift and look at another aspect of demography, and this is the demography of whānau Kahungunu. So in this graph, just to show you the format first of all, what I've done is I've looked at two aspects of the Kahungunu population. The blue for 2001, 6 and 13. The blue represents those who are living within New Zealand. The buff colour there represents those who are actually residents here within the Hawke's Bay. So when you then look across the different components of the whānau Kahungunu population within the Hawke's Bay, there is a small component of whānau from Wairoa who live here. There is a small component of the Heratonga whānau who are living here, a small component of whānau from Wairarapa, and then within the actual census data, some who didn't state, so that is just accounted for there. Now, just wanted to look at the implications of this for multicultural wellbeing and survival long term. When you talk about these goals here, wellbeing and survival from a cultural perspective, and a multicultural perspective in particular, whānau Māori is the first priority. To have multiculture, you have to have your whānau there. So this is already a real challenge and difficulty for Kahungunu in terms of achieving these goals. For whānau to come home, they need jobs, homes, social and ecosystem services, and we're talking about an estimated 27,000 whānau members that aren't residing here within the region at the moment. This situation diminishes cultural survival prospects, and we need to think of whānau Māori here in the broadest possible sense, which is more than just a nuclear family. And I want to just thread that thought out a little bit in the next few slides. So when you are talking to mana whenua here, in the tank conversation about ecosystems, what you're really making reference to are their family members. I just want to explain that now over the next couple of slides. So what I've done here is just try to illustrate for you visually a multi-family tree. Just to, this is an anachronism to borrow this concept from English thinking. The Māori term for this would be whakapapa. So here's the Māori family tree. We have the parents, Papa Tuanuku, our Earth Mother, Rangi Nui, our Sky Father, and they have a number of different children who, from one hapu to the next and iwi to the next, there's different names used to describe these, but they're generally referred to as atua Māori, or those kaitiaki have responsibility for the different domains of the natural world. I've just put some visual illustrations of some of these whānau members, some of these atua down here for you. So this is Rangi Nui and Papa Tuanuku, our Sky Father and Earth Mother. We have here Tānei Nui a Rangi, the atua of the forests. We have here Rohu, the atua of the medicinal herbs and plants. We have here Tangaroa, the atua of the sea and the oceans and the lakes and rivers. Homie Tiki Tiki here, the atua of the root vegetables and root-forming plants and ferns. And we have here, last of all, this is Tāwhiri Mātia, the atua of the space between Papa Tuanuku and Rangi Nui. Now, an interesting point I just want to draw your attention to is when you look at this part of the whakapapa here, Tānei Nui a Rangi, and you come down here through this part of the whakapapa, eventually you come to tangata whenua. And here are tangata whenua. Not the head of this family, but actually the younger siblings, the taina. Okay, and this is just to illustrate this, I've drawn on this beautiful photograph of Se Apirana Nata outside of the Waitangi Marae up in Northland in the 1940 Waitangi Day celebrations. But just to make the point here that tangata whenua consider themselves to be the taina, the younger members of this family. When you think now about this family, there's another important aspect to this that I just want to draw your attention to, which comes from this book by Raymond Firth, which was published in 1929, called The Primitive Economics of the New Zealand Māori. Now, this book was the published version of Raymond Firth's PhD thesis. And in the preface to the book, you'll find this: the life of the Māori cannot be explained on the assumption that economic interests and needs have created their social structure. Though modified by them, that structure has biological and social foundations of its own. The economic activities of the Māori were developed, in short, within a framework set by the family. In other words, whānau Māori, that family tree that I showed you, is also the Māori economy. So when you think about the Māori economy, that is the basis of it. Those family members and the interrelationships between those family members describe the Māori economy of our tūpuna in earlier times, and that still exists today. Which means that in this country we have not one, but we have two different models of economics. This one here, the New Zealand mixed market economy, and this one over here, which I've described as whānau Māori, or the translation that's used in the Māori dictionary online is ohanga Māori. Now, different characteristics of these two models of economics. This one here based on a Pākehā worldview, this one based on a Māori worldview. This one preferences the use of the English language, this one preferences the use of the Māori language. This one incentivises and rewards productive and consumptive activities. This one incentivises and rewards the expression of kawa, kaupapa and tikanga. This one here is theoretically value-free. This one here is kaupapa-based, or Māori value-based. This one here is based on the three capitalist principles of property rights, profit-making and free markets. This one here is based on the expression of these kaupapa, whanaungatanga, manaakitanga and kotahitanga. This one here was designed over a long period of time to support the goal of Western or Pākehā cultural survival. This one here was designed by our tūpuna to maintain the well-being of whānau Māori and to maintain their survival. This one here tends to result in whānau Māori decline. This one here maintains whānau Māori. This one here is based on rules, laws and customs. This one here is based on kawa, kaupapa and tikanga. Two different models of economy. Now this has some important implications, I think, for the tank project. When you look back at the ohanga, or the economy of our tūpuna in earlier times, they managed to survive on these islands for somewhere between 800 to 1,000 years while maintaining the survival and well-being of themselves and the natural world using English language. And what we're talking about here in Māori terms is te whānau o rangirawa ko papa tuanuku. In other words, the whānau, the family of Ranginui and papa tuanuku, which includes all of Atua Māori that I described to you before. Now, a real change and challenge occurred for our tūpuna as a result of the introduction of capitalism and the capitalist market economy. And within 170 years, the introduction of this new model of economy has driven hapu and the natural world into decline, and in some cases to the point of extinction. Now you can see this visually here within the Hawke's Bay. So what I've done here is I've taken each of the tank sub-catchments. Yes, that's the Karamu, that's the Ngaruroro, that's the Tūtaikuri, this is the Ahuriri here. And this set of layers here depicts visually the pre-1840 forest vegetation cover. These figures here indicate the percentage of that cover as a percent of the total area of the catchment as a whole. So you can see in that pre-1840 situation, these were the Atua domains, the expressing the members of the Māori family. This is what it looks like today. In 2012, and these are the percentage figures of what remains of this pre-1840 cover of Atua domains. Now, when I'm giving this sort of a presentation, I make the point that this is not just the loss of some forests and some wetlands and, the modification of rivers, etc. This is decline in the well-being of Te Whānau o Rangirawa ko Papa Tuanuku, the members of the Māori family. This is decline in the Māori economy. You can see the same for the tank wetlands. These are the blue layers over top of these maps here that you can see the percentage cover in the pre-1840. This is what remains today. So key issues here. Whānau Māori is more than a nuclear family. The Māori economy is whānau Māori. That's exactly what it is. And we have in this country not one but two models of economy. And the mana and mauri of whānau Māori in the Hawke's Bay is seriously diminished, in some cases to the brink of extinction. And this is a very sensitive matter for local mana whenua. So when we're talking about family well-being in a Māori cultural sense, we're not just talking about the nuclear family. We need to think about whānau Māori in terms of that broader sense possible.